welcome back to the St. George Religious Education Initiative. This is week 20, day 1. We're reading from Exodus chapter 15, verses 22 through 26, and then pretty much the entirety of chapter 16. Last week, we read chapter 15, the earlier portion, which is the Song of Moses, which he sang after the parting of the Red Sea. Now, this passage comes immediately afterward. It's important that we take note of this because the way the people of Israel are doubting and complaining and griping, we would think that it had been months or years since they last saw the power of God on display. Instead, it hasn't even been a week. So let's see what happens. Then Moses ordered Israel to set out from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. That is why it was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" He cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There the Lord made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he put them to the test. He said, "If you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, and give heed to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will not bring upon you any of the diseases that I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." And Israel came to the wilderness of Sin on the 15th day of the 2nd month after they had departed from the land of Egypt. The whole congregation of the Israelites complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots and ate our fill of bread. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I am going to rain bread from heaven for you, and each day the people shall go out and gather enough for that day. In that way I will test them whether they will follow my instruction or not. On the 6th day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as they gather on other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you shall know that it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your complaining against the Lord. For what are we that you complain against us?" And Moses said, "When the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening, and your fill of bread in the morning, because the Lord has heard the complaining that you utter against him, what are we? Your complaining is not against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Say to the whole congregation of the Israelites, 'Draw near to the Lord, for he has heard your complaining.'" And as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the Israelites, they looked toward the wilderness, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, "I have heard the complaining of the Israelites. Say to them, 'At twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall have your fill of bread. Then you shall know that I am the Lord your God.'" In the evening quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the layer of dew lifted, there on the surface of the wilderness was a fine flaky substance, as fine as frost on the ground. When the Israelites saw it, they said to one another, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Gather as much of it as each of you needs, an omer to a person, according to the number of persons, all providing for those in their own tents." The Israelites did so, some gathering more, some less. But when they measured it with an omer, those who gathered much had nothing over, and those who gathered little had no shortage. They gathered as much as each of them needed. And Moses said to them, "Let no one leave any of it over until morning." But they did not listen to Moses. Some left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and became foul. And Moses was angry with them. Morning by morning they gathered it as much as each needed, but when the sun grew hot, it melted. On the 6th day they gathered twice as much food, 2 omers apiece. When all the leaders of the congregation came and told Moses, he said to them, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Tomorrow is a day of solemn rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you want to bake, and boil what you want to boil, and all that is left over put aside to be kept until morning." So they put it aside until morning as Moses commanded them, and it did not become foul, and there were no worms in it. Moses said, "Eat it today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is a Sabbath, there will be none." On the 7th day some of the people went out to gather, and they found none. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commandments and instructions? See, the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore on the 6th day he gives you food for 2 days. Each of you stay where you are. Do not leave your place on the 7th day." So the people rested on the 7th day. The house of Israel called it manna. It was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Let an omer of it be kept throughout your generations, in order that they may see the food with which I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Egypt." And Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar, and put an omer of manna in it, and place it before the Lord to be kept throughout your generations." As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron placed it before the covenant for safekeeping. The Israelites ate manna for 40 years, until they came to a habitable land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is 1/10 of an ephah. Now, this is a long reading already. I think it might be the longest we've done, except for the life of St. Basil. And there's a lot of details that maybe we should point out. First, the general thrust of this story is the people should trust God. They should know that he's going to take care of them. They ought to have figured out by now that he's not just leading them out into the desert to kill them. Otherwise, why the miracles? Why the parting of the Red Sea? Why is he defending them? Why is he taking care of them? We might say, well, they've been slaves for 400 years, so maybe they're traumatized, and there may be some truth in this, and yet the Lord is being very patient with them. He's giving them every chance, and they do keep on messing up. Second, we see the Lord is teaching them. He's making them his own people, and he starts very quickly. We haven't even gotten to Mount Sinai yet. We haven't even received the 10 Commandments, which is where we see God talk about the Sabbath day and command them to keep it holy. But we see already he's established the Sabbath day for them here, pretty much as soon as they cross the Red Sea and come into the wilderness. And he establishes it by providing food for them on 6 days. And on the 7th day, he doesn't give anything for them to gather, which requires them to rest because there's no point to working, and he makes sure that they have enough food on the 6th day to move into the Sabbath. So God is taking care of them. He's not leaving them hungry. And this establishes the Sabbath day as something that is uniquely important, that sets them apart from the other peoples around them, and that God is telling them, this is how you will live. You are my people, and you will live in this way. There are connections that we'll talk about again, why the Sabbath day matters. Of course, a lot of this goes back to the creation story, that God made the world in 6 days, and he himself rested on the Sabbath. It has also anticipations for the coming of the Lord, for his passion, for his resting in the tomb on the 7th day, on Saturday, and then he rises from the dead on the 8th day. On the first day of the week, on the day of the new creation. These are things that we'll talk about again, so it's good to remember this. Other details that we might pay attention to, there's a lot of discussion about the omer, and then at the end the ephah. These are old Hebrew measures of volume. I don't know exactly what they are. It's easy enough to Google this. I would suggest, look on Wikipedia, look just on Google, what is an omer? What is an ephah? and I'm sure you'll find plenty of explanations of about what this looks like. My guess is that probably an omer is about a bowl full, enough that would, sort of about the volume of a fist. I'll be curious to see if I'm right. Anyone that wants to check, send me a message. Again, there's a lot going on here. This doesn't bode well for the relationship of these people with the Lord. They keep on doubting him. They keep on questioning him. They keep on complaining against him. They keep on disobeying him. And unfortunately, this doesn't stop when they get to Mount Sinai, when they see him in person, and when they continue to see these signs that he is doing. There is one more point that is worth paying attention to. We have in this passage and before, we have effectively two persons who are referred to as the Lord, as Yahweh, as God, and one of them is talking to the people about their relationship with the other. Sometimes it is said that there is no hint of the Trinity in the Old Testament, that this is something that is only revealed in the New Testament. But passages like this, and what we saw in the crossing of the Red Sea, where the Lord is in the cloud, in the pillar of fire, and again, especially here, where, I'll find it real quick. In verse 25, it says, "The Lord made for them a statute and an ordinance, and he put them to the test. And the Lord said, if you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, and give heed to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will not bring upon you any of the diseases that I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." It's possible that I'm reading into this, but he's speaking of himself. Apparently, he speaks of himself in the third person. If you obey everything that the Lord told you, then I will not bring upon you the things that I brought upon you. It's the Lord that's talking. It's possible that he's just switching from the third person to the first person. But again, this isn't the only time that we see this. It may be that here we have the second person of the Holy Trinity, who comes and is incarnate, and who we know as Jesus Christ, the Son of God. He is speaking and saying, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, and do what is right in the sight of the Father, and give heed to his commandments and keep his statutes, I will not bring upon you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord, I am Yahweh, who heals you. It's good to pay attention to these things, because sometimes this sort of thing just goes right over our head, and we think, oh, in the Bible, they switch back and forth from third person to first person, and it's all very confusing, and I don't understand anything at all. But we shouldn't assume these things are by accident. There is a purpose and a reality behind them. So, that's for today. I'll see you all on Wednesday. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.